I'm going to tip this towards the camera. We're going to show this colored food storage system that I was amazed when I first saw it in your refrigerator. And it's like an answer to a lot of us who have kids that have real specialized diets, or if you want to watch the calories in a fun way, where the guys get to choose their own food and make their own decisions. So, Kehea is going to back up and let us know why did you first start doing this?
Well, so my daughter Jordan has Down syndrome, and in 2017 she was diagnosed with leukemia. And one of the side effects to her leukemia was diabetes. And so we had to create this specialized diet for her because her insulin intake was attached to not just her glucose levels, but how many carbs she was eating. And because I wasn't the only person taking care of her, because I had to work, during the day, I needed a way for the private nurses that were coming in or whatever natural supports I had to know exactly how many carbs were going into her body. And not only that, but because with care, like the kind of care Jordan was getting with the chemo and all of that, she didn't have many choices. And I wanted her to still have some autonomy of her life. And so by color coding what her food went into, I was able to then create visuals so that she could choose what she was eating every day, and then she had that freedom to go into the freezer, pull the ones that she wanted, and and then make choices for herself.
So are you saying you put the snacks in one color and the main meals in one color? How did that work?
So this is all main meals. Her snacks go into a different drawer. But the ones that are here, and I'll pull them out, are just for her meals. But I will show you her visuals. So this is just a house iPad.
Okay.
So inside her iPad, she knows that it's in notes, and I'll have her show you later. But these are her meals. Right now, she's only into 3 things. And I know most of us who have children with disabilities, this is what they do. They kind of perseverate on just like certain foods, right, during certain times. And this changes periodically. That's why I do it digitally, so that as her taste buds change and her moods change, I can then create new visuals for the new things. So right now, it's spaghetti, chicken nuggets with mashed potatoes, and chili with rice.
But not real spaghetti.
No, not real spaghetti, and not real mashed potatoes either. So because, like I said, because her insulin intake is attached to her carb intake, I wanted to reduce the amount of carbs that were going into her body, because a cup of pasta is like 45 grams of carbs, but a cup of spaghetti squash is only 15 grams of carbs. So therefore, it went from 9 units of insulin to 3 units of insulin. And I really wanted that for her. And I feel like, especially with the cauliflower, because I do mashed cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes, cauliflower really does support the entire endocrine system. So I noticed that when she eats the mashed cauliflower, it really helps to stabilize her blood sugars for most of the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we have less lows, less highs. We're always checking blood sugar. It's a lot of work.
So can we tip this towards the camera?
We can actually start taking things out if you want. So
right.
What these are called, they're called stasher bags, and they come in all different sizes. And Stasher does not endorse me or anything. This is just something while I was doing research, I found them. And what appealed to me was that they came in so many different colors, so that I could offer Jordan her food. I know. And there's more colors. I didn't actually choose all the colors. What I did is I did have to go on the website and choose colors that were far from each other, because some of their blues are similar. And when I ordered them initially, like this aqua was very close to the topaz, and Jordan couldn't tell the difference in the freezer.
So now you're saying if she knows what food is inside what color?
Based on her visuals, yes. So Jordan can look at this, and she looks and she says, I want spaghetti for lunch. So she will go to the freezer and grab 1 aqua and 1 citrus. And now she knows that this is going to be her lunch today. Same goes if she wanted to have chicken nuggets and her mashed.
So how would this be the spaghetti? Would one be the sauce and one would be the
Yes, so one of each,
vegetable?
right. And I do them separately because I found that when I froze them together, like froze the spaghetti with the sauce, it lost some of its integrity, and so it just didn't. The sensory was not good for her when she ate it. But if I had them separately and she just put them together after they warmed up, right?
I love that. I love that you do this with the iPad. So you've got the picture of the actual food and then the two colors.
Right.
So this could work for any level of cognitive scale, like high, whatever if they know colors and they can associate the picture.
Right.
And I love that she can make her own choices, because a lot of times with my daughter, I'm giving her food, and I think they get really frustrated with that.
I think like any other human being, we like to make choices for ourselves. Our children like to make choices for themselves too. And what we're doing, like I call this like drone parenting, not helicopter parenting, because I'm not messing her life all up. What I'm doing is I'm setting things up and preparing them so that I can stay back here and she can live a somewhat independent life, even though she isn't able to necessarily be 100% independent.
So if the doctor says, or you say, because you're working on a diet, I want my son or daughter to have more greens, then you just change the color pictures and you change what's inside of this for that.
Well, she doesn't necessarily eat just what's here. We do supplement with other things. So like, just because she chose spaghetti for lunch, her 1-to-1, or usually we have like say a salad in the refrigerator for her. So she would pull the salad out as well. And a lot of times her lunches are leftovers anyways, you know what I mean? But even if there is leftovers, she can still choose if she wants something else.
But a lot of our doctors, I know with autism, there's a lot of gut issues, and sometimes families for like a month or a few months have to go on a very restricted diet.
Right.
So this kind of color coding would really
You could do that,
work.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this works for just about anything. I've done so many different things in these stasher bags.
How do you fill them? What is it?
So this is the opening here. It seals here and it opens.
And they're plastic safe.
They're silicone, so they're platinum silicone, so they're food safe. You can put them in the oven, you can put them in the microwave, or you can put them in boiling water. So like in our family, we don't like microwaves. Well, I have a microwave now, but prior to cancer, I did not own a microwave. And so these worked just by putting them into a pot of boiling water.
So they can freeze.
They freeze. They go straight from the freezer to the oven, straight from the freezer to the boiling water. You don't.
So when she's picking out her food, is she picking it out from the freezer? She open the freezer and you have piles of different colors.
And I do it that way too because with chemo and with cancer, you become neutropenic. And neutropenic means is that you don't have an immune system. It was very important that when I prepared Jordan's food that I froze it right away so that there was no chance of bacterial growth.
Oh, right.
And so that's why I chose this system, was so that I could, and I like these because they freeze flat. So they go like this in the freezer. They don't take up much room at all. This is a way for us to prepare food for our children that we know is better for them while still giving them the freedom to choose what they're going to eat. And I think that that's what's so important. And that's what was so important for Jordan, because so much of her life was out of her control.
Well, can Jordan show us for a minute how she does it? It would be really fun.
But
first I want to see, what are these guys?
Oh, so these are also made by Stasher. They're called the Pocket Stashers. So Jordan smoothies, I pre-make them, put them in here, and freeze them as well.
So they open.
Yeah, and it thaws relatively quickly. Like I would say within about an hour or so, it becomes soft enough. And what I like about the Stashers is, is you can put a straw right inside of it.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
She can like drink her smoothie straight out of the Stasher.
Like
so
that.
I'm not worried about like other dishes.
But you're aware of how many carb count in her case.
I would know exactly. I would know exactly how many carbs. So because on her visuals, I write how many carbs. I don't think that one would. I write how many carbs, like what's in the bag and how many carbs. Because during the day, like I said, at lunchtime, a private nurse comes to the house for lunchtime. And so she needs to be able to look at what Jordan ate. She'll know exactly how many carbs she had so that she can compute how much insulin to give her.
Before Jordan comes over here, can you show me a little bit about
the spaghetti squash? Yes.
Because I'm so excited to do that thing with the fork and trick my daughter into eating the vegetable instead of them.
And what I did with Jordan, I'll tell you, is that spaghetti squash right away is not a good idea necessarily. What I did is I made the spaghetti squash and I made pasta and I mixed them. And you really cannot tell the difference when you're eating it like that. But, so Cynthia got this yesterday from the grocery store and she asked them to cut it for her. And I noticed that he cut it this way, lengthwise. And I was telling her that what I learned is that if you cut your spaghetti squash this way instead, you get longer strands. That the strands grow in the spaghetti squash going around like this. So when you cut it in half, after it's roasted, when you scrape it, your strands are only going to be about this long. If you cut it this way, the strands are relatively long, actually. They're like the exact, the length of what
They
goes
look
around
like
this.
spaghetti.
They look like spaghetti. And that's how I tricked Jordan and I just slowly, reduced the amount of pasta and made and more spaghetti squash to the point where she just could not tell the difference.
That's so exciting.
And now she's eating a healthier thing. And the spaghetti squash, like when you look at like nutrient density, it's so much better for her than the pasta.
And are you watching things like sugar and the chemicals and all of these things?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But more so for us is the carbs and the nutrient density. So I want to make sure that she's getting as much nutrients as possible.
Okay.
And the carbs because it's connected to her insulin intake.
When you fix, so you're working on the gut, or parents can work on the gut by selecting the foods a little better, because doesn't gut relate to behavior? Weren't you telling me that?
It is related to behavior. A lot of times with the gut issues, there are like self-injurious behaviors, right? Like the pounding on the chest and the biting of the hand. And so it is really good to take care of gut health. But absolutely work with a registered dietitian. That's what I did. When I planned out Jordan's meals, and I've learned a lot because, this all started in 2017. And so I gleaned a lot of information and I took those classes while she was in the hospital and learned as much as I could about her nutrition and what her body needed. And so I would also recommend that for other families, like work with a registered dietitian.
The thing I like the most about it is the agency, the personal choice element.
Yeah.
Because that's also a learning for some of our guys and for my daughter, learning to make a choice. And you could work with colors and numbers. You could say, okay, choose 3. And then matching it with the pictures on the iPad.
Yes.
And then they could actually learn to count calories. There's a lot of learning in this if they wanted to take it as
that
a
is
system
next
of
step
learning.
for Jordan, is her being able to count her carbs.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
But, we've come a long way with Jordan. As she had a really bad reaction to one of her chemos. She ended up on life support at one point. She had encephalopathy. So we've come back, and she's learned a lot. And I tried the 3-color system because what I tried to do was like all carbs, one color, all proteins, one color, and all veggies, one color. And all she had to do was go in there and pick one of each color for her meals. And it was too much for her. But that's why we scaled it down to just, we do 2 bags.
Why was that too much? The choice?
I don't know why. I don't really know, but it was just more for her. Like it did not work for her. But it doesn't mean it won't work for other people. But if you look, that's why these had the most, is because these were the 3 colors we were working on.
Okay.
Clear were her starches. Her proteins were orange and her veggies were all in that
But when you
color.
think about all the work we do at home with the color, learning colors, and numbers,
yes.
I mean, this is a perfect system to incorporate all that learning
think
into
so.
the food, and especially when the reward is finally getting to eat.
Right.
I think it's a lot of speech therapists
absolutely.
that really happen.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, so we'll ask Jordan to come over if she doesn't mind. We'll stop the tape and then we'll have her come.
All right, you ready? You want to show them where would you pick your lunch?
Okay. Okay.
Chicken potatoes. Rice and chili. What would you pick for lunch today?
Okay. Yeah.
Chicken and potatoes. Okay. That sounds great.
Ooh.
Yeah. What colors would you pick?
Yeah.
Purple and what?
Right.
And
Yeah.
oh, see, it's not that green, it's that green. But you see how the colors are really similar.
Colors
It
are
have,
great.
but this one right now, I'm not actually using in our system. That one I'm just like using for leftovers or whatever. So, and because we figured that out, that this green was too close to that one when they were in the freezer. She could not tell the difference. So that's what I was talking about picking colors that definitely are distinct.
Now you could put snacks on here if you wanted to. Too.
You definitely could. The type of snacks that Jordan has wouldn't work for the stasher system, but that's why I only use it for her lunches.
And then you add the fresh salads.
Or there's different things that she likes. So she can choose between like fresh fruit, like strawberries or blueberries.
Right.
She can choose avocado, or she can choose a salad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that because I know my daughter wants to overeat. And so I'm thinking about how I could use this.
Right.
And,
Well, originally we tried to teach Jordan portion control so that she could make her own food. And we found that that didn't work, which is why I went with this size, because her portions fit perfectly in this size.
okay, so they come in different sizes.
They do.
There's a lot of different companies that make these.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are. I just, like I said, I picked this one because I like the size and I like the colors that were the options.
And then some families could get involved in actually the cooking and the prepping too. So there's a lot of involvement and learning.
She helps to choose the menu right now. I would love. She used to be able to cook independently prior to cancer. I'm hoping that we can get there again.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting. Well, thank you for showing us the system today.
No problem.
I think the interesting thing is especially in autism and other special needs, there's so many dietary restrictions that come up. And this is like such an idea. I remember coming over to your house and you opened your freezer and I went, what? That is just so super organized. And then you started telling me what it is.
It does, in the long run, makes your life easier. Like, it takes me like an entire Sunday, like one Sunday a month to like get all of this done.
Okay, so you pick a day to prep.
I pick a day to prep, and then I don't, and actually, so this is like half a month worth. So every other Sunday I cook and put it in the freezer. If I had a separate freezer, I probably would do more. But because I just have my one freezer, otherwise we don't have room for any other food, only Jordan.
Thank you so much. I hope some of the parents can really get some great ideas for learning with colors and counting and diet. And it's good that us parents share with each other.
Yeah, because people can do whatever they want with this or however they want to do it. It's just one idea.